Yashodana Braja Jana Ranjana Jana Braja Jana Ranjana Yashodanandana Braja Jana Ranjana Braja Jana Ranjana Yamuna Tira Vanachari Tira Vanachari Yamuna Tira Vanachari Tira Vanachari Jai Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Kunja Bihari Jai Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Madhava Kunja Bihari Jai Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jayam Vishnupad Paramahamsa Prabhajakacharya Stotra Saptashi Shimad His Divine Grace Srila A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai.
Jai.
DBT Founder Acharya His Divine Grace Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai.
Jai.
Jayam Vishnupad Paramahamsa Prabhajakacharya Stotra Saptashi Shimad His Divine Grace Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur Maharaj Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai.
Jai.
Nanta Goti Vaishnava Vrinda Ki Jai.
Jai.
Srila Haridas Thakur Ki Jai.
Jai.
O Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shri Vasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai.
Jai.
Shri Radha Krishna Gopa Gopinath Shama Kund Radha Kunda Giri Govardhan Ki Jai.
Jai.
Vrindavan Dham Ki Jai. Mayapur Dham Ki Jai. Yamuna Mai Ki Jai. Ganga Mai Ki Jai. Bhakti Devi Ki Jai. Tulasi Maharani Ki Jai. Samadeva Bhaktivinoda Ki Jai.
Jai.
All glories to the assembled devotees.
Hare Krishna.
All glories to the assembled devotees.
Hare
All
Krishna.
glories to the assembled devotees.
Hare
All
Krishna.
glories to Sri Guru and Sri Gauranga.
Hare Hare Bol.
Srimati Bhaktivedanta Swami Nityanamani Namaste Saraswati Devi Gaurani Pachayani Nirvishesha Shanivati Pastida Deshkarani. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
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 Reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 1, The Creation, Chapter 11, The Lord Krishna's Entrance into Dwaraka, Text 27. Sita tapatra vyajana rupaskrita prasuna varyar abhivarshita pati Vishangavasa vanamalaya babo Gano yatarko dupachapa vaidyutai Sita tapatra vyajana rupaskrita Prasuna varshar abhivarshita pati Pishangavasa vanamalaya babo Gano yatarko dupachapa vaidyutai Sita tapatra vyajana Prasuna varshar abhivarshita pati Vishangavasa vanamalaya babo Gano yatarko dupachapa vaidyutai. Everyone can chant.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Sita tapatra vijanaira paskrataha prasuna varshe abhivarshitaha pati Vishangavasa vanamalaya vabho Dano yatharko dupachapa वैद्युतः।
हरे कृष्ण। पत्र व्यजनैरुपस्कृतः प्रसूनवर्षेर अभिवर्षितः पथि विषङ्गवासा वनमालया बभो धनो यथार्कोडुपचाप विद्युते। हरे कृष्ण।
हरे कृष्ण। सितात पत्र व्यजनैर उपकृतः। Sorry, I'll go ahead again. सितात पत्र व्यजनैर उपस्कृतः प्रसूनवसैर अभिवसित पति विसंगवासा वनमाल बभौ घनो यथार्कोडुपचाप वैद्युतः। हरे कृष्ण।
हरे कृष्णा।
Hare Krishna.
सीतात पत्र व्यजनैरुपस्कृतः प्रसून वर्षैरभिवर्षितः पति ईशाङ्गवासा वनमालया बभो घनो यथार्कोदुपचाप वैद्युतः। हरे कृष्ण। Thank you.
Hare Krishna. Word for word translation. Sita Atapatra, white umbrella. Vyajanai, with a chamara fan. Upaskritaha, being served by. Prasuna, flowers. Varshai, by the showers. Abhivarshitaha, thus being covered. Pati, on the road. Pishangavasa, by the yellow garments. Vanamalaya, by the flower garlands. Babho, thus it became. Gana, cloud. Yata, as if. Arka, the sun. Udupa, the moon. Chapa, the rainbow. Vaidyutai, by the lightning. Translation. As the Lord passed along the public road of Dwaraka, his head was protected from the sunshine by a white umbrella. White feathered fans moved in semicircles, and showers of flowers fell upon the road. His yellow garments and garland of flowers made it appear as if a dark cloud was surrounded simultaneously by sun, moon, lightning, and rainbows. Purport by His Divine Grace Srila Prabhupada. The sun, moon, rainbow, and lightning do not appear in the sky simultaneously. When there is sun, the moonlight becomes insignificant. And if there are clouds and a rainbow, there is no manifestation of lightning. The Lord's bodily hue is just like a new monsoon cloud. He is compared herein to the cloud. The white umbrella over his head is compared to the sun. The movement of the bunch hair fan of flukes is compared to the moon. The showers of flowers are compared to the stars. His yellow garments are compared to the rainbow. So all these activities of the firmament, being impossible simultaneous factors, cannot be adjusted by comparison. The adjustment is possible only when we think of the inconceivable potency of the Lord. The Lord is all-powerful, and in his presence, anything impossible can be made possible by his inconceivable energy. But the situation created at the time of his passing on the roads of Dwaraka was beautiful and could not be compared to anything besides the description of natural phenomena. Sita tapatra vyajana rupaskrita prasuna varshar abhivarshita pati Vishangavasa Vanamalaya Babo Gano Yatarko Dupachapavaidyutai. As the Lord passed along the public road of Dwaraka, his head was protected from the sunshine by a white umbrella. White feathered fans moved in semicircles, and showers of flowers fell upon the road. His yellow garments and garlands of flowers made it appear as if a dark cloud were surrounded simultaneously by sun, moon, lightning, and rainbows. Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Pastaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Niti Namine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschadade Shatarne. I really love this verse and purport by Srila Prabhupada. Very beautiful. One little detail to get out of the way first. One line in the purport had me puzzled for a long time, talking about the chamaras that are being waved before the Lord. Srila Prabhupada writes, the movement of the bunch hair fan of flukes is compared to the moon. So that phrase was very bewildering to me. A bunch hair fan of flukes. Bunch hair, we can understand the yak tail is a bunch hair, a bunch of hair. But what is flukes? So finally, after a lot of research, I found in a description of obsolete terms from the 14th centuries that the term fluke refers to like a lock of hair. So this is an archaic or obsolete usage of the English language, that a fluke means like a lock of hair or a bunch of hair. So Prabhupada probably picked it up from his, pastor teachers at a Scottish church college who would have been knowledgeable in Old English and traditional usages like that. So it sounds strange to us, but it does make sense if you look into it a little bit. The movement of the bunch hair fan of flukes, so the bunch of hair of the yak tails are being waved. And this is such a gorgeous, gorgeous description. We've been hearing more of this verse after verse of Krishna's entrance and how everyone is appreciating his beauty. And this verse is using a particular poetic technique to take us to a higher understanding, a higher appreciation of Krishna's beauty by using these different analogies. Atapatra, sitatapatra. So atapatra means an umbrella. I'll share, just because I like the Sanskrit, I like analyzing the Sanskrit. Atapatra, atapa means heat or the sun, just like tapa. Tapa means heat, like tapasya, or just like we hear about these great sages who would perform tapasya, and from their tapasya, their body would actually heat up, and fire would come from their heads, and sometimes like Hiranyakashipu, from that heat from their tapasya, the whole universe would heat up. So atapa means sun or great heat. Atapa is heat, and tra, atapatra. We heard yesterday Mother Archana Bhakti describe this word kshatriya. That kshatriya means kshat trayate. Kshat means bodily harm, and trayate means one who protects you from or delivers you from bodily harm. Kshat trayate. Or Prabhupada also describes the Sanskrit word mantra. Mantra means man or mind, and trayate. So that which delivers your mind from material conditioning is called mantra. So atapatra is the same construction. Atapa means the heat of the sun, and atapatra means that which delivers you or protects you from the heat of the sun, which is an umbrella. So that's just some ordinary word construction, but it's very beautiful how these poetic terms are being used. A big white cooling sita tapatra. Sita means cooling, like the moon. So the hot sun is there, and the umbrella is providing this beautiful cooling shade for the Lord. What else? Sita tapatra vyajanar. The vyajanar means the chamara whisk is being fanned at the Lord, and it's being moved in semicircles like that. Upaskrita Prasuna Varshar Abhivarshita Pati. And everyone is throwing flowers, just like at Guru Puja or greeting the deities. You take a handful of flowers. So the whole city of Dwarka, they're all showering flowers. And Varshita, it's coming down like rain. The flowers are raining down. Pishangavasya, Krishna himself is dressed in beautiful yellow garments, and his complexion is dark like a rain cloud. His beautiful, colorful garland is just like a double rainbow. A rainbow is like this. So a double rainbow like this, making a circle. This is the beautifully colored flower garland around his neck. So all of these very poetic descriptions are there. The umbrella is just like the sun in the sky, big and bright and round. And the chamras are also white, and they're moving in half circles like that. So it's just like, they're just like the moon, or like multiple moons in the sky. The chamras are there. And Krishna is like the rain cloud, and the umbrella is the sun, and the what else? Let's see. Oh, and the shower of flowers coming down, the flower petals are just like the stars in the sky. And Krishna's effulgence is brilliant like lightning, and his complexion is like the cloud. So all of these poetic descriptions are there, and Prabhupada describes very nicely how these are all completely contradictory, that you don't find simultaneously. Very rarely during the day, in the morning sometimes when the sun is up, you could still see the moon in the sky, but the effulgence of the moon is so minimum when the sun is in the sky. But here they're both present and both so prominent. And you won't find a rainbow and lightning simultaneously. Rainbow means that the rain is over. So you won't find rainbow and lightning, but here the rainbow and lightning, Krishna's effulgence and the beautiful garland are in the sky at the same time, and the stars are in the sky at the same time. So all of this is completely contradictory. And these contradictions are meant to help us understand Krishna. A little basic philosophy, mundane philosophy. There's what is called the Hegelian Dialectic, which is the process of you present a thesis or some idea, then you present an antithesis, which is opposite to that. And then you find some way to reconcile these two opposing ideas and put them together into a concluding idea, which is called the synthesis. So there's thesis, antithesis, and synthesis. So we have thesis and antithesis, that the sun is in the sky and also the stars are in the sky, opposite. And the rainbow is in the sky and the lightning is in the sky. At thesis and antithesis, opposite. But by reconciling these opposites by Krishna's divine energy, which Prabhupada, of course, mentions in the purport, that anything becomes possible by Krishna's inconceivable potency, then we combine these ideas and we can come to a higher understanding, a transcendental understanding, which is beyond material dualities. Just like I also have Ishopanishad on the brain, because we've been studying Ishopanishad for Sunday feast. So we have Anejare Kam Manasoja Viyo, that the Supreme is fixed in one place, but he moves faster than anyone else. He's Tadejati Tanaijati, that he moves and he does not move. Tadure Tadvantike, he's very near and he's very far away. Or Kata Upanishad, Anor Aniyan Mahato Mahiyan, that the Supreme is smaller than the smallest and greater than the greatest. So all of these materially incompatible ideas help us understand the transcendental nature of the Lord. That he's very near, he's very far, that Goloka is so far away from us, and Krishna's existence in Vrindavan is so far away from us. but at the same time, it's immediately available within our heart because Krishna is everywhere and he's present within our heart. So all of these irregularities and contradictions are resolved, and not just resolved, but help us come to a higher understanding. So this is how it's done in philosophy. So in this verse, it's being done to take us to a higher appreciation of Krishna's beauty, not just a philosophical understanding, but actually appreciating Krishna's beauty. So all these contradictions are there. There's another nice example of these contradictions. I have an example from Srila Jiva Goswami's Gopal Champu in the Krishna Janmakanda. The appearance of Krishna is being described, and it goes like this. Though meditation appears in Satya Yuga, sacrifice appears in Treta Yuga, deity worship appears in Dwapara Yuga, and chanting appears in Kali Yuga. Though the jasmine blooms in spring, though the mango appears in summer, the waters become clear only in autumn. Though the harvest appears in winter, though the kunda flower appears in the cold season, though the lotus blooms during the day, though the planets give auspiciousness according to arrangements of the astrological scriptures, and though the Lord appears only by the power of Guru, yet by the influence of Krishna, all of these occurred simultaneously. So this is the idea of the appearance of Krishna, that Satya Yuga was long past. Krishna appeared in Dwapara Yuga. So Satya Yuga is the time for meditation and purity. So it wasn't Satya Yuga, but still that quality was present at Krishna's appearance. Though sacrifice is characteristic of Treta Yuga, still all auspicious sacrifices appeared at the appearance of Krishna. And deity worship in Dwapara Yuga and Kali Yuga had not even come yet, but still constant chanting of the holy name was present at the appearance of Krishna. Krishna appeared later in the year, but although the jasmine blooms in springtime, at Krishna's appearance, the jasmine was blooming. Krishna appeared at night, and though the lotus blooms during the day, the lotus was blooming at night because of the appearance of Krishna. And things that were happening in winter were happening, all the seasons, all the different varieties of occurrences of the different seasons were all happening simultaneously at the appearance of Krishna. So this is the appearance of Krishna. So just like it's being described poetically in today's verse, that Krishna has appeared in Dwarka and they can't get enough of drinking in his beauty. And so they're giving this poetic description that the day and night, the sun and the moon, the stars, the lightning, the rainbow, the cloud, all of these are simultaneously appearing as a way to describe the transcendental beauty of Krishna. So this is how the Dwarkavasis are describing, and this is how we can get a little bit of appreciation of Krishna by understanding what seems like a contradiction is just an increased glorification and a higher and higher understanding. Just like Krishna himself is black, he's Sham. He has a dark complexion, but he's also shining and effulgent. So materially, these two ideas are incompatible, that something can be both blackish and effulgent. It doesn't make sense. The basic understanding of optics is that the definition of the color black is that it doesn't give light. Like if something's blue, that means that it's reflecting or emitting light in the blue part of the spectrum. And if something's red, it's giving or reflecting light in the red part of the spectrum. But the definition of black is that it's not giving off or emitting light in any spectrum. So that's the opposite of effulgent. But yet Krishna, he's Shama Sundar, but he's also the most effulgent, so effulgent that his effulgence, the Brahma Jyoti, is pervading and supporting the whole creation, is being supported by his effulgence. Yam Shama Sundaram and Chinta Guna Sarupam. This is what Prabhupada is saying in the purport. He's Shama Sundar. He's blackish and he's so beautiful. Achinta Guna Sarupam. And he has this achintya guna, his inconceivable qualities make this possible, that he's Shama Sundar and he's blackish and he's effulgent at the same time. So this is the transcendental understanding of Krishna's beauty and how we could begin at least to appreciate Krishna's beauty. Therefore, we've all heard many times Krishna's face is like a lotus, or his toenails are like moons, or like these. All of these descriptions are there to help us appreciate Krishna's beauty. We have these material senses. We can't directly perceive Krishna's beauty. Atakshi Krishna namadi nabhavet grayam indriyai. With these mundane senses, what can we see? What can we appreciate of Krishna's transcendental beauty? But by these descriptions and by the practice of devotional service and by turning our mind to it, we can understand a little bit. And these poetic descriptions and analogies are also to help us understand. There's one famous, semi-famous, I guess famous within Vrindavan, Vaishnava saint Rasa Khan. He was a Muslim who became a Vaishnava, and his poetry is very famous. He says, "It is no ordinary task to try to describe the beauty of Sri Radhika Ju and Krishna, Radhika Ju, the daughter of Vrishabhanu, for it is most effulgent." Rasa Khan says, hey, take care to summon all of your knowledge. And if you want to find a comparison to that beauty, look at the planets and the stars, for they are also incomparably effulgent. And he goes on to describe the beauty of Radhika and the beauty of, especially of Radha and Krishna together. So this is the idea that we use these Krishna's beauty. He has a face like a lotus, and his neck has 3 lines like a conch shell, and all these different descriptions are there to help us understand, to help us in our conditioned state, in our mundane state, understand, and not just understand, but gain a little bit of appreciation for the beauty of Krishna. So we're grasping at some understanding, what is Krishna's beauty like? So we read the Bhagavatam and we hear these beautiful descriptions, and we look at the deity who is completely transcendental, but yet we're seeing with our mundane eyes, so we can't fully appreciate, or we're hearing with our ears, trying to hear the transcendental vibration with our mundane ears. So we're trying to get some idea, some hint, some idea of Krishna's beauty, of Krishna's greatness. This is called the philosophical technique known as Shaka Chandra Nyaya. Shaka means branch, like the branch of a tree. Chandra means the moon, and Nyaya means logic. So this is the logic of seeing the moon through the branches of the tree. If you're trying to show someone, like you're trying to show a child where the moon is in the sky and they can't find, but if the moon is, if the moon is like behind the branches of a tree, you say, oh, look in the branches of the tree. And then when you look through the branches, then you'll see, oh, there's the moon. So these descriptions, his beauty like a lotus, his effulgence like lightning, is to help us understand, to point us towards ultimately the direct perception, without analogy, the direct perception of Krishna's actual beauty. And the devotees, this is what we're after. This is what we want, to directly perceive Krishna's beauty. For now, like I said, we hear about it, we philosophize about it, we try to expose ourselves to Krishna's beauty, and we practice Krishna consciousness to become purified so that we can actually perceive, so we can spiritualize our senses and directly perceive Krishna's beauty. And when you can directly see Krishna's beauty, then the results of that are so amazing. Today is Snana Yatra. So talking about Krishna's beauty, I wanted to read this little section from Caitanya Charitamrita. It was at the time of I'm not exactly sure, the festival of Lord Jagannath was taking place, called Netrotsava, which, as far as I can understand, is similar to or related to Snana Yatra. It's a big festival right before Lord Jagannath goes into seclusion before the Ratha Yatra. And this happened right after the cleansing of the Gundicha temple. So they did the big cleansing of the Gundicha temple. There was a big festival with all the devotees. And then Chaitanya Mahaprabhu went to and all the devotees were feeling very sad because, oh, this Netrotsav is happening. Lord Jagannath is going into seclusion. So they were unhappy. So actually Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and all the devotees, they went into the temple against the rules of the temple because they couldn't bear the separation. And they went to see Lord Jagannath. And this description is there. This is from Madhya Lila, 12th chapter, starting with text 209. With great eagerness, all the other devotees followed them. That's Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and his associates, followed them into the temple of Lord Jagannath. Out of great eagerness to see the Lord, they all neglected the regulative principles and just to see the Lord's face went to the place where the food was offered. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was very thirsty to see the Lord, and his eyes became like two bumblebees, drinking the honey from the lotus-like eyes of Lord Jagannath, who is Krishna himself. Again, we can take note of these poetic usages, these poetic analogies, that he's directly perceiving Krishna, but to help us appreciate, it's described his eyes were like bumblebees drinking the nectar from the lotus of Krishna's lotus face. So beautiful. The eyes of Lord Jagannath conquered the beauty of blossoming lotus flowers, and his neck was as lustrous as a mirror made of sapphires. The chin of the Lord, tinged with a buff color, conquered the beauty of the banduli flower. This increased the beauty of his mild smiling, which was like lustrous waves of nectar. The luster of his beautiful face increased at every moment, and the eyes of hundreds and thousands of devotees drank its honey like bumblebees. As their eyes began to drink the nectarian honey of his lotus face, their thirst increased. Thus their eyes did not leave him. Just like last Wednesday in the morning class by His Grace Vishnu Gadaprabhu, he was describing about, well, when the devotees see Krishna, are they satisfied or are they never satisfied? So both are there. They're materially satisfied, but they're not satisfied because they want to continually drink the beauty of Krishna's face and they never get enough of it. So that's being described here. Thus, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and his devotees enjoyed transcendental bliss upon seeing the face of Jagannath. This continued to midday. So basically all morning, they just stood there gazing upon the Lord. That's all they did. They were just standing there looking at the beauty of the Lord all morning until midday. As usual, there were transcendental blissful symptoms in Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's body. He perspired and trembled, and a constant flow of tears fell from his eyes. But the Lord checked these tears so they would not disturb his seeing the face of the Lord. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was in such ecstasy that he was crying, but he rejected that crying because it interfered with him seeing the Lord. So the devotee doesn't even want ecstasy. He simply wants to see the Lord. Their looking at the face of Lord Jagannath was interrupted only when he was offered food. Afterwards, they would again look upon his face. When the food was being offered to the Lord, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu performed his kirtan. Feeling such great pleasure upon seeing the face of Lord Jagannath, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu forgot everything. The devotees, however, took him to lunch at noontime. So what a beautiful description of not just Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, but all his associates going to the festival of the Lord, even breaking or bending the rules a little bit because they can't bear not seeing Krishna, and just gazing at him and drinking in his beauty. So we could maybe think of that, remember that a little bit today during the Snanayatra ceremony. We could also drink in the beauty of the Lord. We can also perform kirtan to the Lord, bathe the Lord. So this is some of the ecstasy of seeing Krishna, and this is something we want. And again, we can't see it directly, so these poetic descriptions are there. Another time, Srila Rupa Goswami, at the request of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, was reciting some poetry, some of his own compositions of poetry for the Lord. And Ramananda Roy said, I can understand from this beautiful poetry that Srila Rupa Goswami has certainly received your mercy. And then he commented, he says, what is the use of a bowman's arrows or a poet's poetry if they enter the heart but don't make the head spin? So Srila Rupa Goswami's poetry was making the devotee's head spin, seeing how beautiful it is. And when we hear, just like today's verse, the sun is there and the moon is there at the same time, and the rainbow and the lightning and the stars are all there at the same time, these contradictory things should be spinning our head, like blowing our mind, in a sense. These contradictory things should be blowing our mind. And then when our material mind gets blown, then we can rebuild and reconstruct our spiritual mind, which can actually understand and appreciate Krishna. And all these beautiful things, just like Krishna's face being compared to a lotus, that the Aravinda or Padma or Pankaja, all these words are there naming the lotus, but these words are themselves poetic descriptions. Pankaja means, panka means mud, and ja means born. So poetically, the name of the lotus is Pankaja, that which grows out of the mud. Or Abja or Ambuja is also lotus that grows out of the water. So the lotus itself is described by poetic descriptions, by poetic names. And then these poetic names are also used to poetically help us describe and appreciate the beauty of Krishna. Namo Pankajana Baya, Namo Pankajamalina, Nama Pankajanetraya, Namaste Pankajangraye. We heard a month or two ago, whenever it was, hearing in the Queen Kunti prayers, that Queen Kunti is saying, Namo Pankajanabhaya, Nama Pankaja Maline, Nama Pankajanetraya, Namaste Pankajangraya. That Krishna, he has a lotus, like a beautiful Pankaja, like a beautiful lotus flower, because it's deep and shaped like that, like a cavity, like a lotus flower, because it's as beautiful as a lotus flower, and also because as his expansion, as Garbhodakashayi Vishnu, a lotus actually grows out of it, from which the whole universe is manifested. So he's Pankaja Nabhaya, with a navel like a lotus flower. Namam Pankaja Maline, and just like we're hearing today, is a beautiful garland of lotuses, multicolored, beautiful flower garland, like a rainbow in the sky. Nama Pankaja Netraya, and he's got eyes like lotus flowers. They're blooming, wide open eyes like lotus flowers, or sometimes the eyes are described like this. I can't really describe, shaped and then narrowing and coming back like the petals of a lotus flower, and they're as beautiful as a lotus flower. And Pankajangra, that his feet are like lotus flower, because on the soles of his feet, they're marked with the sign of the lotus, because they're as beautiful and as fragrant as a bluish lotus flower. So he has lotus feet. So this is Krishna. This is how we describe and appreciate Krishna. So especially this lotus flower. Prabhupada comments in Teachings of Queen Kunti. He writes, if one sees a lotus flower, one can immediately remember Krishna. For example, if one loves one child and one sees any of the child's garments or his shoes or a small ship or any of his playthings, one will immediately remember the child. Oh, these are my child's shoes. These are my child's playthings. This is his garment. So this is how we appreciate the beauty of the lotus. Simply reminds us of the beauty of Krishna. And the sun, and from today's verse, the sun in the sky can remind us of Krishna's triumphant entrance into Dwarka, or what to speak of the dark cloud. The dark clouds are just like the complexion of Krishna, can remind us of the beauty of Krishna. And then again, on the same idea, in the Nectar of Devotion, Srila Prabhupada writes, it is said that the transcendental body of Krishna resembles the lotus flower in 8 parts, namely his face, his two eyes, his two hands, his navel, and his 2 feet. So 8 parts. The gopis and inhabitants of Vrindavan used to see the luster of lotus flowers everywhere, and they could hardly withdraw their eyes from such a vision. So this is that chapter in Teachings of Queen Kunti is named A Vision of Lotuses. So this is the Brijabasis. They see this effulgence of lotus flowers everywhere, because of course lotus flowers at that time at least grew everywhere in Vrindavan, and also because they always had the vision of Krishna, whose beauty is compared to a lotus flower. So constantly there. So this is the beauty of Krishna. The devotees cannot tear themselves away from that. Venum quanantam aravinda dalaya taksham barhavatam samasitam buddha sundarangam yam kandarpa koti kamaniya vishesha shobam govindam adipurusham tamaham bhajami. Venum quanantam, he has his beautiful flute. That flute playing, as the beauty of Krishna's face is to the eyes, the sound of his flute playing is to the ears. And even it's said, sometimes it's described that the cows, Krishna would use his flute to call the cows, and their ears would perk up, and the cows' ears would be like cups. I think Mother Archana Bhakti also used this description yesterday, that about drinking the beauty of Krishna's face. So the ears of the cows were like cups to drink the sound of Krishna's flute playing. Venum quanantam aravinda dalaya taksham. And again, his eyes are beautiful, like the petals of the lotus flowers. Barhavatam samasitam buddha sundarangam. And he has this beautiful complexion. What's that? Dark, like the complexion, like the color of dark, full rain clouds. Kandarpa koti kamaniya vishesha shobam. Kandarpa koti kamaniya means that his beauty is more beautiful than millions and millions of cupids. The summit of beauty in the material world is the attractiveness of Cupid. But Krishna's beauty is more beautiful than millions and millions of cupids. And that means his beauty is not just quantitatively greater than the beauty of Cupid or any beauty in the material world, but it's qualitatively different, because the very height of material beauty is Cupid, lust. So that's the very height of it. So to go above that, you have to enter a whole nother plane, which is the plane of transcendental beauty. So Kandarpa Koti Kamaniya, that he's more beautiful than Koti, than a crore or 10 millions of cupids. Krishna's beauty is so much more than that. And Vishesha Shobam, this is also a very interesting term. Vishesha means distinct, distinctive or specific, and Shobam means beauty or charmingness or attractiveness. Just like we have devotee here in Philly, Shobha Radhe, means charming Radharani or beautiful Radharani. So Vishesha Shobha means Krishna is not just beautiful, not just charming and attractive, but Vishesha Shobham, he has a specific quality of attractiveness that puts him over and above any other conception of beauty that can possibly exist. Govinda Madi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami. This is Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So we want to study this, we want to hear about this, we want to understand this. And I enjoy philosophy, I like philosophy, and Prabhupada also wanted his devotees to be philosophers. There's, the Happening album, the album that Srila Prabhupada made back in 1966. And on the back of that album, there's a particular photo of him, and Prabhupada commented that he liked that photo of himself very much. He said, a Swami should look philosophical, he said about that photo. So we use philosophy, we embrace philosophy, and it's an essential tool for engaging in Krishna consciousness and understanding Krishna. But in another sense, philosophy can be a crutch, that I cannot perceive Krishna. I don't have appreciation for Krishna's beauty. So I'm left with philosophizing, trying to understand it in a philosophical way, in a theoretical way, in a scriptural way. And that's good. That keeps me engaged in Krishna consciousness and allows me to understand at least a little bit of Krishna. But we want to come to this point. The value of the philosophy is that we want to come to this point that, oh my God, Krishna is so beautiful that I cannot tear myself away from his lotus feet or his beautiful lotus face, even for a moment. This is the fruit of philosophy. Philosophy is important, but the actual fruit of the philosophy is that we get an appreciation of Krishna. In the Nectar of Devotion, there's a very nice verse describing some of the ecstatic symptoms of the devotees. One of those ecstatic qualities is that feeling of minimizing oneself or self-disparagement. And describing that, Prabhupada quotes a letter that Uddhava wrote a letter to Krishna. And in that letter, he writes, this is from Nectar of Devotion, "My dear Krishna, I have just finished the study of all kinds of philosophical books and Vedic verses about the goal of life. And so now I have a little reputation for my studies. But still, in spite of my reputation, my knowledge is condemned, because although enjoying the effulgence of Vedic knowledge, I could not appreciate the effulgence coming from the nails of your toes. Therefore, the sooner my pride and Vedic knowledge are finished, the better it will be." So this is how we understand this. We need philosophy, we use philosophy. We don't reject philosophy, but our philosophy has to be applied in such a way that it comes to actually appreciating Krishna. What's that also earlier in the Bhagavatam? Dharma swanustita pumsam visvakshena katasuyat not padayad yadi ratim shrama evihi kevalam. You may do your dharma, you may do your Vedic study, your rituals, your sacrifice, your this, your that, whatever you do, you may do that. But if it does not promote rati means taste or attraction, for hearing about Krishna, for serving Krishna, for seeing the beauty of Krishna, then shrama evihi kevalam, it's a useless waste of time. So these the Brijavasis, of course, but these Dwarkavasis, they had attained that. I'm sure they're very intelligent, and actually they're from earlier chapters, we heard their prayers, and their prayers indicate that they also had great Vedic knowledge, but their perfection of it is here, that they're simply wanting to see the beauty of Krishna and love Krishna and serve Krishna and exchange with Krishna. This is the perfection of every philosophy. Otherwise, being a philosopher by itself is not that great of a credit, nothing to be particularly proud of. So we want to become actually attracted to Krishna, actually in love with Krishna. Prabhupada said there are two things. There's Madana Mohan and there's Madana Dahan. So we heard how Krishna is more beautiful than millions of Cupids. So Madana is Cupid. And Krishna's name, one of his names is Madana Mohan, that he's so beautiful that that Cupid, who entrances the whole material world, he becomes entranced by Krishna. Therefore, Krishna is Madana Mohan. And Radharani is also called Madana Mohan. What is it? Madana Mohan Mohini, that she is the attractor of the attractor of Cupid, or the bewilderer of the bewilderer of Cupid. That Krishna is beauty bewilders Cupid, the highest material beauty, and in turn, the beauty of Radharani entrances Krishna himself. So this is how we want to approach Krishna and eventually develop actual real love for Krishna. There's the Gopis' song of separation in the 10th canto of the Bhagavatam at the time of the Rasa dance. That Atati yad bhavam anikananam Shruti yugayate tvam apashyatam Kutila kuntalam Shri Mukam chate Jada udikshatam Pakshma kridrasham. That Atati yad bhavam anikananan, that the Gopis are saying during the day, you go with your cowherd boys into the forest And for that whole day, we can't see you. At that time, Truti Yugayate Tvam Apashitam, we can't see you, so we're feeling a Truti. A Truti in the Vedic system of enumerating periods of time. Truti is the smallest measurable unit of time. And it's approximately 30 millionths of a second, one Truti. And we're feeling one Truti, not seeing Krishna, a millionth of a second, not seeing Krishna, Yugayate, we're feeling to be like a yuga, like a whole cycle of creation. Kutila Kuntalam Shri Mukham Chate, we're trying to see your beautiful face surrounded by locks of your curly blackish hair. But we have to blink. We have eyes, and those eyes have eyelids, and every few seconds we have to blink our eyes. So we're thinking that the creator, Lord Brahma, who's Pakshmakrid, who created these eyelids and forced us to blink, he's fool number one. That we have to blink, and when we blink our eyes, we can't see your beautiful face. So they're cursing the creator. You made eyelids because for that moment we blink, we can't see Krishna's beautiful face. Or again, it's said at the very end of the rasa dance that Brahma Ratre Upavrite, that Krishna made the rasa dance. It was one night, but he made that night last as long as a night of Lord Brahma, which is however many millions or billions or trillions of years that is. But still the gopis felt like it was over in just a moment. And when Krishna at the end of that night of Brahman, the rasa dance was over, and he told the gopis, you have to go home, they were so sad, so lamenting. Even after being with Krishna and seeing Krishna face to face for a night of Lord Brahma. And what to speak of, again, returning to Caitanya Mahaprabhu, Yugaitam Nameshena Chakshusha Pravashaitam, is saying exactly the same thing, which makes sense because Caitanya Mahaprabhu is Radha Bhava Jyoti Suvalitam Nomi Krishna Sarupam. He's Krishna himself, but he has the complexion and the mood of Radhika. So he's saying exactly the same thing, Yugaitam Nameshena. A yuga and a nimesha. Same thing, nimesha is a very small unit of time, and yuga is a very large unit of time. A yuga could mean like a yuga cycle of Kali, Dwapara, Treta, and Satya, however many millions of years that is. Or yuga can also mean a 12-year period of time. So therefore, sometimes it's translated that, oh, it seems like 12 years or more. Or it can also mean it could seem like a yuga or more, a moment not seeing Krishna. So this is how we can begin. And again, we may be on the stage of theory. I certainly am on the stage of theory, on the stage of philosophy, on the stage of theoretical rational understanding, that at least I know, I can say that Krishna is the most beautiful entity that there is, and there's nothing more beautiful and more attractive than him. And because I know that, and because I have a theoretical philosophical understanding of that, I can use that as an impetus to engage with hopefully someday some degree of sincerity, some degree of steadiness and devotional service. And after some time doing that and exposing yourself to not just the philosophy and the practice, but the actual beauty of Krishna, seeing the beauty of Krishna in the deity form, seeing the beauty of Krishna's description in the Bhagavatam, which is actually full of many descriptions like this, that gradually it will become less theoretical and more practical. And someday a person can actually simply desire to see Krishna. And then that philosophy and sadhana and all those practices are perfect. Another very short story to finish up Prabhupada's story. Not story, quote from him. He was talking once about hearing Srimad Bhagavatam. And he said, you simply go in the temple, and every day you sit in the temple and you just hear. In the morning, there'll be some katha, some class. And in the evening, there'll be some katha, some class. And you don't do anything else. You just sit there and you hear. And he said, you just go on hearing. And he said, even if you don't understand, He said, understanding is not a very important thing, but you go on hearing. So again, this point, understanding is not a very important thing. Again, I'll reiterate, philosophy is important, but it's only important in the sense that it actually brings us that ultimate spontaneous attraction to Krishna, like the Brijavasis have, like Srila Prabhupada have, like the Dwarkavasis are being described in today's shloka. Hare Krishna, thank you very much for your kind patience, everybody. Are there any questions or comments or discussion?
Hare Krishna, dear devotees, you can unmute and go for the comment or question or any kind of clarification needed. Hare Krishna. However, Prabhuji, the lecture was very, very nice today. So as usual, you mentioned about that good one, like the Sakha Chandrana, Sakha Chandrana, the branches of the tree. So that the logic of seeing the moon through the branches of the tree. So when the kids, I remember in the village area, especially it happens, kids are playing and they are rigid for getting something. So we saw something, this way, or we can show the moon also. See, the moon is your, maternal uncle kind of showing like that. So to making it simplify, so that he will understand, getting that, yes, I am able to get that one. So to understand it very easy. Yeah, so you described very well. And the glorification for the beauty of the Krishna through the sun, moon, rainbow, lightning, you nicely, described, very well, all the points, making like how
I was just repeating what's in the verse.
Yeah.
As beautiful as that is.
But the rephrase and phrasing makes, like the beautiful, because when we glorify Krishna, so obviously the words get assimilated and it makes, like so beautiful. So it was really nice. And top of that, you added the Kunti Maharani prayer, Namo Pankaj Navaya, Namo Pankaj Maline, Namo Pankaj Netraya, Namaste Pankaj Angre. So everything related to Pankaj, like the lotus, lotus 8 Anga you told. So that was really nice, So, and at the end, you also mentioned about the Gopi Geets, like that was really wonderful. Always Gopis are the, their prayers are very, very good. Yeah, Adati Adbhamana Hanikananan. So, yeah, project was really, really wonderful. So,
thank you very much. Hare Krishna. Anything else? Question or comment?
Thank you very much, Prabhu, for a very nice class.
Thank you.
Poetic words and everything. Thank you very much.
Hare Krishna. Okay, Hare Krishna. Everybody, thank you so much for attending, for your kind attention. And if I happen to say anything of value in today's class, remember it at 4 o'clock this afternoon when you're standing there in front of Lord Jagannath. And if you could at least remember, oh yeah, Krishna is beautiful. We could remember that. Any announcements or?
So I don't see Dhanacharya Prabhu is here, but as for the announcement, we have a Snan Yatra today. So,
right, and for days they've been emphasizing, come early, come on time, don't delay the festival. So
yeah,
I'll repeat that because they've been all week, Drona Prabhu and Vishnu Gadad Prabhu have been emphasizing that. So everyone, we could come and see Lord Jagannath and bathe Lord Jagannath.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you very much, everybody.
And also we have, sorry to interrupt people. Also we have launching of, Rath Yatra festival. So today will be launched for that. So it will be very exciting.
Yes, yeah. More reason to come early and take part.
Okay.
Jai. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Oh, I'm sorry, is there more?
Yeah, no, we can end the session.
Okay. Vanchakalpatarubhyascha Kripasinduve Pachapatinam Pavanebhyo Namo.